Hello everyone, my name is Gerone Wright, and once again you're here with me on my YouTube Dronification channel. Okay, in this video I'm going to be discussing somewhat about our world's ancient maps that seem to be mind-boggling to many on how these maps can be so precise and in some cases show land masses on our Arctic regions when, I mean, nobody is supposed to have existed in those places or no civilizations, meaning that, in other words, people should have not been around at the time that some of these maps, so many implications in these maps were suggest. And it was just mind-boggling where you had people rushing to say that it was aliens and everything from aliens to, well, we're being lied to. It's my position that I know what aliens are, I know what angels are, and basically I know the entire cause for why religion is in place. Okay. In this video, I hope to bring some reality to you in the sense of what these maps actually means as well. Okay. Nothing meant more to our ancestors. And let me stop for 1 minute. Well, okay, nothing meant more to our ancestors than who they genetically were and their genetic being. Okay, and it was a furtherance of themselves from a specific bloodline, a specific creature, to that of where we're at today. So what they did is they kept a large scale record, which was actually encrypted in artworks and in map of who we genetically were. So what did these records reference? Well, these records all reference on how we evolved from this creature to our black ancestors, through to our black ancestors, and to other creatures, or other cultures and civilizations around the world globally, resulting from the genetic bridging of these creatures here. Now, I like to use this example right here because this is a great example to give you some ideas of what we're talking about. Let me see if I can back this off. It shows us how we evolved. Now, this is just a comparison of mine to that in relation to that of our ape ancestors. But notice how these monkeys, over a period of time and through their evolution, resembled that of who we genetically are. You have an African American man there, okay? And our evolution is very much like what these monkeys' evolutions were. They came from a specific ape species. And just as we were genetically bridged over, it's my position, and so were they. And that these creatures and their likenesses can be traced to genetic bridgings and alterings, just as ours can. It explains that how we got from the likeness of this creature, the likeness of these creatures, to these creatures. Over here there's an Asian woman, and then finally a Caucasian woman. It shows us how we genetically got to who we are. So let's go back to these maps, these ancient world maps. It's my position that ancient world maps contain information identifying on which locations genetic alterings were made to that of the likenesses of mankind, which calls for dramatic change in their being. And these records can be read through this map. Now, when you look at this map, all you see is just land masses and shapes which target specific land bodies on our planet. When I look at this map, I see what you see, but more in depth. What I see is multidimensional faces that create other faces, that create other faces, that create other faces, that create other faces, and genetically identify where I am, or where I came from, and where other beings came from, and what calls for their being today. And that's what I see in this map. Alright? Now, to give you an idea, this map, I equate this map with being similar to a sculpture made by Fenzini in 1978. And this is at the Nervi Hall in Vatican City there. There you have a pope, I guess his bishops and his cardinals there at his side. And this is an image of Jesus hanging in this sculpture. This is a Fenzini sculpture. And I've read this sculpture just as I can read this map. So what is this sculpture? What is the sculpture saying? What is the map saying? Well, this is supposed to be an image of Jesus, and this is supposed to be an image of Jesus emerging from that of a nuclear explosion, according to Fenzini. And that's his body shown hanging there in a mass. Well, I've identified what this mass is. When Fenzini created this sculpture, just as this artist created that, they used bodies of creatures to describe that of what they're doing. You cannot see it. Possibly you can see it if I show it to you. For example, I can see nostrils of an ape. I can see the entire face of an ape inside there. I see faces of dinosaurs in here. I see snakes sneaking around. Okay? And I can see creatures in the middle of this mass right here, which actually, let me see if I can show you. This describes kingships and queenships in the middle, down through here. I believe that is possibly too light for you to see, but I've made some highlights in there. And in the middle, in this mass right here, it's my position that this overall picture, this creates an overall picture. And for those of you that are, well, I don't think that no one is paranormally linked in the way that I am, you can see the multidimensional images in here. This image is crystal clear. In the middle of this, what I can show you is mind-boggling. Let me see if I can show you just at least one of those. I can see faces all through here. Some of those, there's an ape, the beginning up in here. I don't know if you can see that or not. And there's an ape up in the top there wearing a crown next to a queen that's wearing a crown. And then down below, there is another pair of wearing a crown. And it's my position that there's an overlayment of multidimensional faces which create other faces, and this is a message in here. I can see lions in here. Okay, this entire mass. I can see genetics. I can see the faces of creatures and beings which represent who we genetically are today. Just as I can here in this Fenzini sculpture. I'm going to show you in 1 second. When you look at this Fenzini sculpture, all you see is Jesus hanging in a mass. I'm going to bring it to you in a book. When you look at this Fenzini sculpture, here it is out of a book. All you see is Jesus hanging out of a mass. Okay. When I first looked at this sculpture, I was drawn to the attention of this. a reptilian looking creature right there, and this is emerging from the body. And this is where I first saw it. Then as I was drawn into it, because once I pencil in what I can see, it's like a opening up Pandora's box, sort of kind of speaking. And what happens is that it allows for me to look at things in a way that other people cannot see them. And what's the beauty in all of this is that you have people that see things but cannot describe them. Through my paranormal experience and encounter, I can reveal to you what I see. And this is what the beauty is in my paranormal experience and encounter that I am having. Again, the body of Jesus. Here's his face, and his hair is blown to create a skull. So what is being described here? Well, it's telling you who Jesus genetically is. And as I start revealing these things to you, you could, let me turn this over. There's a serpent. There's a worm coming out of the serpent's head. And look at the little head on the worm-like creature right there. There's a face and a head right there on the worm that's in the snake's mouth. That's one portion of it, and the snake is biting down. I'm going to show you. But here, people, the other end of that snake is snaking off of that of a reptilian ape. There's the right eye socket, there's the left eye socket, and there's a genetic chain link in its what's called. There's this right nostril, there's this left nostril. This is the skull of a reptilian ape. There's the serpent snake, and there's genes shown linking, genetically linking over, show you bloodlines that were being created and manipulated, and saying that they're here today. Now, I'm going to show you, again, because I'm going to get back to this map. I'm supposed to be doing a video on the map, but I'm getting your attention because I want to show you that this is equal to what Fenzini created in Nervy Hall. This is what I can see. Right there, people. You know that familiar scaly-like shape of the snake's mouth, the reptile's mouth, the eye, there's the body. This is the head of a snake, reptile. Showing you that Jesus was bridged over this creature to escape our ancient ancestral genetics. Now you're probably saying, well, how can a human be bridged over a reptile? Well, we emerged from those creatures in the first place. And it's my position that every 400 plus years, we can be reintroduced to those genes successfully and be genetically bridged over. Let me, I'm going to do a side-by-side with this here. And I have several videos on this, so you can go back and look at my videos. I can't do the side-by-side. But see the teeth, see the eye, the shadow of the eye, see the mouth. Look at this, the mouth features, see the teeth. Look, I didn't do anything but just highlight the lines that are there, people. Look, no changes. All I did was just fill in the coloring, and look, and look what's there. Even in the head. I've even compared this to, you know where this came from? Fenzini stole the concept of this from Egyptian glyphs. And I can show you exactly which glyph this was taken from, because it actually shows that skull that's in the blown hair of Jesus that looks like a dinosaur. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this. Right here. This is a specific creature that Jesus' blown hair creates. It's the skull of a creature that's referenced in Egyptian glyphs. These creatures, that creature, and this entire mass represents a specific moment in time and specific genes that were created. And now these people are talking about how they changed them. And it's all represented in that of the Fenzini Nervy Hall sculpture. Now, what I see here is what I can see here. see faces. The witch-like woman, her nose. See the arrow coming off, snaking off, and there's an arrow right there. This is a horn. This face right here, there's a mouth, there's a top lip, bottom lip, there's a chin. This is a horn of a being that creates another likeness of herself, which is right here. You can see the gargoyle-like creature right here, right there. There's the eye, there's this head, there's this paw coming down and gripping on. You see that gremlin-like or goblin-like creature right there? See these skulls looking like things, these skulls and things? It identifies and associates a genetic contribution to creatures that calls for the genetic altering of the bloodline of Christ, which furthers them away from their ape and African ancestor and Asian ancestors as well too. These maps, coming back to these maps have the same encrypted message which show us who we genetically are and identifies us and associate us with who we genetically are. I see images in this map that you cannot see, and I'm prepared to draw, but not at this time. But I did a video on the Wright map, and the same identical thing on that 1500 gazelle skin map. I did a video on this. The same exact message that is in this map is here as well too. It's showing you the land masses creates faces and bodies of beings that represent a specific gene or genetics from which we emerge, from which we evolved. These land masses create bodies of the creatures from which we evolved. Over here, for example, is the body of a whale. Over here is the head of a woman. It's showing you through the body of the whale, it's showing you direction from which these genes, that is showing you in the shape of the ships, that these genes were genetically in transit and changed over. From the body of the whale came the body of the woman. And then it's showing you how the genes were consistently manipulated and altered. I can read this entire gazelle skin Peri wrist map, 1500 map. There's the lips of a woman, there's the chin of a woman, there's the nostrils of a woman, and over here is an oxen that has his feet cleverly crossed in a way that creates the eye of the one with the horn. It shows you I can identify genetically who this being is that is being referenced. Now, you probably said, then it has a organism going into her mouth. Over here, on the other side of, I think this is South America. Over here in North America, what they're showing you is these genes being sent back around again, over towards Britain. What's happening is showing you which specific genes were created, came from here, coming around in a cycle, and showing you how these genes are going back and forth, and what genes are being described as being altered, and which one is going out. So they look like cartoons until you begin to realize that there is a specific pattern. I have this face drawn out a little bit because I want to show you something about this. Here, let me show you something, because it sounds like a damn cartoon at first until you begin to realize. Here's the face of the woman drawn out here. Her lips, her nose, her hairline, forehead line. And you see that oxen-like creature, its legs are crossed over to create her eye, telling you that these beings are cross-referenced with each other. Here's the body of the whale this way on the map. And then if you turn it upright, you know what it creates? A seahorse. You know what this is representing, people? That through the body of the water, those stories of mermaids and seahorses and all of that, it's showing you through the oceanic properties, elements of our world, we emerged onto land. And these maps are describing how it all occurred, at which times it occurred, and then it's showing you a process from which this manipulation process can be recycled again. It's a continuing process of genetic altering of that of mankind being. Let me keep going. You can see my video on that. Okay. That's the rewrite snap. Here's another ancient map. Right here. I'm going to take this one. Well, I can leave that up there. Here's another ancient map. People, you have an ancient map here. What in the hell are you doing with a map, a globe, and then in the bodies of the supposed water around, surrounding, you have women? This is another ancient map. People, let me just take a common sense approach to this map for you. It's telling you from the oceanic properties of our planet, woman emerged. You see that? The female reproductive system came from the oceanic properties of our world. How would these people know this back then when they were creating these maps? It's telling you on specific locations, and I can tell you something else about these females that you would not possibly know. And it's describing different genes and organisms and everything else, and how these genes were created. So how did they come about? Why is it the woman there, and what is it showing you? Well, if you look closer, you see a partial portion body of what other than what? The implication of a whale. Right there. You see that? What those colors represent? What, a killer whale? The whites and the black. See that? And that head, that almost triangular type head, it creates a partial portion of a body of a whale. So, a whale in the water, and these women in the water. What is that telling you, people? That through the body of the whale, which is a creature that is one of the oldest on our planet, through the likeness and the body of the whale came the image of woman and the reproductive systems of the woman. The whale produced the being of mankind. And it's showing you through this map the breakdown of a process which has always been known. I can read it from what you can't see. The same exact message is here. I'm going to show you something else. Oh, hold on. I'm going to show you this before I go on. Here's another familiar picture of that. This is the Voynich manuscript. I've identified and associated this as being the female reproductive system. Specifically, the ovaries and the fallopian tube, because only the fallopian tube creates that of the flower look. The ovaries, and this is hooked to what? It's my position that this creates the image of a fibroid tumor. I don't have that. Do I have my file here? If I have my file here, I can actually possibly pull that up. But I'm gonna let that go. But I have an image. I have a video on this, the Voynich manuscripts decoded, so you can look at it. I have a specific diagram of a female reproductive system with a fibroid tumor, and it creates this identical scenario right here. All right, so this has been decoded. It's my position that the writings specifically talk about the reproductive system of an organ, a male, female, and the fibroid tumor, and that's what this is discussing. All right, let me take this away. Here's another familiar picture from that of the Voynich manuscript with these women shown. My position that is showing you through genetic manipulation and altering how genetic changes were made and are continued to be made from a process which originated from the oceanic properties of our world. And this is what this Voynich manuscript is all about, which makes for better sense because we are describing the flowers that they're talking about in the Voynich manuscript. It's my position that those flowers are better fitting to be described as stem cells, microorganisms. Okay? They look more like that than being described as that as flowers, because you know why? The flowers didn't exist. The only thing that mattered was that of the female and the female reproductive system and the genetic changing from which one being is genetically being altered and changed from another being, which calls for better sense, because why would you have naked women in a supposed tub when there are other pages describing flowers and this and that and the third? People are trying to mislead us, telling you that they're making herbal medicines and all of that. Well, how can I come along and invoke my paranormal experience and encounter and tell you that these are stem cells that are being mentioned, and this is a female reproductive system with a fibroid tumor? And I have no scientific knowledge about it so much. But when I see this, this is what I see it as. A fallopian tube up here that has the flowery end on it. These are ovaries, and this is showing you a fibroid tumor, and this is the other connection going off to the other ovary. My name is Gerone Wright, and you're watching my Geronification channel, and you're getting a knowledge in a sense that you would never otherwise would, because I have a genuine paranormal experience and encounter. Now, I'm stating that we are coming from the body of the whale. Here's an image from the Lost Book of Nostradamus. This is the Merlin character up here. The Merlin character comes around off the tail of that of a fire-breathing dragon, right here. And there's other faces there too. There's the head of the fire-breathing dragon showing you putting fire back down on itself. You know what this is representing? With the fire, what that represents, the fire, that represents the cauldron, the pot, the witch's kettle. It's showing you a cooking, a brewing of genetics, which calls for the image of man. So, what's being cooked? That fire-breathing dragon telling you that this is a being that emerged onto land, has legs. It's cross-referenced again with what creature? Well, people, lo and behold, here's the body of a whale. And its tail shown curled around, coming around, and there's the eye of the whale, okay, showing you that these genes are being cooked up in a witch-like, cult-like fashion. A cross-referencing. And there is your Merlin character that pops up, an image of man, which represents the image of man. And over here in the tail, over here on this end, if you look closely right there, and I have a video on this too, people, there is a reptilian-like alien creature right there. And it's my position that there are even more of those creatures that are coming down here, because it is a genetic blueprint as to how these creatures were contributed genetically to the genetic becoming of that of mankind. So we have a fire-breathing dragon with a whale on its back, showing you that in a cauldron, I can make a cauldron here, kettle, showing you that through a altering process, a genetic change, emerged man. And the guy that created the Lost Book of Nostradamus, whether it was Nostradamus or not, knew this. Just like many other artists knew who we genetically were. So, you have our world, image of water with women in it, and a whale. Okay. Now, let's go to the next thing. For those of you that don't believe we emerged from the whale. Salvador Dali creates artwork. Surrealist artist Salvador Dali, should I say. Image of blessed person, boy pulling a ship onto land. I got highlights here. Up here, there's a body of a shark. Oh, right here. Shark. See the witch-like woman right here in the upper cell. There's the shark's open mouth right there, encrypted. Okay. Over here you have a reptilian eye in the mouth, and its mouth is a cross, meaning that the reptilian was cross-referenced. There's the right eye, there's the left eye, there's the global head of it. Looks like an alien, don't it? But it's a squid-like creature because it has the squid-like antlers coming off of its whiskers coming off of its mouth area. Okay? But what's more compelling is right here in this cell, the bottom cell, is that you have showing you the genetics of the whale coming from the sea, pulling out of the sea and onto land. Look at this. The ship represents the genes of a whale. How do I know that? Because the first cell is a representation of that of a whale. There's the body of a whale, the eye of a whale, the open mouth of a whale, and a reptilian man of the whale. Right there. You see that? On the nose of the whale? And then lo and behold, there's a naked man standing right here with his arm bridged through that of this reptilian's antler off his head. That alien looking being right there. People, this is why these images are appearing globally in glyphs on the walls around our world. And we have been twisted and led to believe that these are aliens. Well, how can you look to outer space for aliens when it is first described here as emergence from out of our oceanic waters? Wouldn't that call for better sense if we have squid-like creatures coming onto our land from water? These artists know. They're writing it and showing it in their artwork. Look, there's a great white shark over here with organisms snaking off of it. And look at the crosses, taller than life, that Salvador Dali has going through these beings. You know what it's showing you? Just what I told you. The cross means the cross references of mankind's being genetics with the oceanic properties of our world and the creatures of our world, land and sea alike. That's what these crosses represent. Let's keep going. So you have a boy pulling a ship onto, this is Salvador Dali's discovery of America. The boy is pulling a ship, genetics from the ocean, showing you what genetics he's pulling. Man, reptile. Look, Salvador Dali stating that he knows that man came from reptilian and from that of the body of the whale. How in the hell, I almost give it say how in the fuck, how in the hell can this man possibly know this? And Salvador Dali has a strong tie with that of the Vatican, a history. And I made videos on that as well too, so you have to actually go and see that. So let me take this back down again, because here we have the whale here with man, shown for the whale here with these females in the water, and also Leonardo da Vinci makes references of that with the Annunciation in the angel. That's I got a video on that here too, where the angel squatting before the Virgin, the Blessed Virgin, her in encrypted in her bottom part of her gown, the angel's gown, is that of what? the body of the whale. See my video on that as well too, people. Now, let me put this back over here in my Salvador Dali's file and continue on. Let me go to my Grand Canyon discovery. Everybody seems to know that we emerged from that of the oceanic properties of our world, except for the masses of people. If you Google photo of Grand Canyon National Park banner, if you Google photo of Grand Canyon banner, you will get linked to this image. I also have this image on my Facebook page, caption. You can see it there. If you Google Gerone Wright or go to my Facebook page, you'll actually see that I have this image up. Oh no, I don't have it on. I have it in my profile images. No, the one that I have up there on the captioning page is I have one of the Vishnu portion. I don't have this up. I'm sorry, but anyway, here where those two arrows are, it's on that side, and then there's a blue arrow on this side. Because what is here is the same thing that's over here as well too. I call this the gateways of God's kingdom. Here is a message board on the side of this mountain. It shows you how creatures emerged from, and this is the Colorado River, people, right here, from the properties, oceanic properties of our planet water, and became creatures. And what is shown there? There's cherubs shown. Their wings are that of sharks. Then there's a symbolic symbol coming up the middle. I'm going to show you what this looks like. I have a video here on that as well too, people, because it shows you how from fish came in. This is what is there. You Google Grand Canyon Park. You Google photo image. That's how you have to do it. It'll come up specifically that way. Photo of Grand Canyon banner. Just put in Google photo of Grand Canyon banner. Alright? You Google photo of Grand Canyon banner. This image will come up, you download it, you enlarge it to this area here, and you will see this. Cherubs. The chin, the mouth, the nose, the eye, the forehead, the hair. Their bodies, where the wings are supposed to be back here, these are open mouths of sharks right here. Showing you how these creatures from the water, this is the Colorado River, emerged. And here is, I'm going to call this a lost symbol up in the middle. Look at this. This guitar shaped like, look at this. Showing you a symbolization of how these creatures emerged from out of the oceanic waters of our world. And here are our angels. Now, from our angels, the likenesses of what this is upright, what the angels are, is telling us that angels came from aliens. The mouth, the eye, the squid-like piece on the head. So our reptilians and aliens and angels are all the same thing. You see that? This is what we would expect an alien to look like. If you were to pull this down over your head and buy this in the store as a mask, this will give you a reptilian and angel face. And there's other encryptions there as well too, people. I can see them as well too. But if you turn this back over, you see God's messengers. Cherubs. The twins. On the side of the Grand Canyon wall. It's my position that these areas were our world's first messages boards. All of our ancient areas or mountains globally became the message boards first before there was ancient structures like that of the Maya, that of the Egyptians, before there was all of those buildings, and before there was Angkor Wat and all that. Our message boards were these ancient mountains, and glyphs can be found on them. I have 3 or 4 locations on the Grand Canyon that I've discovered this. The further you go back in archive images, you'll see that. But there's your angels, your cherubs. I can give you the image of Jesus or God. Not Jesus, because Jesus wouldn't live like that. God. But this is an area in the portion of the Grand Canyon that is supposedly supposed to have been carved some 1.7 million years ago by the Colorado River. But I have evidence of these beings all throughout the Grand Canyon. Not down just in the Vishnu portion, but in the peaks where there's nothing supposed to be. But I've discovered ancient ruins and can give you creatures that are similar to what is here. Now, back to our ancient world's maps. Oh, here, let me, since I do have that up there. Do I have another? Oh, here. You know what, since I have that. You see, those faces, those angels, those faces are identical to these faces. These faces here are identical to those faces there. You see that? Cherubs. And we all know that cherubs are associated with being the messengers of that of God. Now, how in the hell can I pull you up? Oh, these beings in the Grand Canyon. This ain't no Photoshop. This is an archive image. Now, you probably say, well, okay, that's just one photo. But people, let's not forget that the Grand Canyon is a tourist location. So, this is just one of my discoveries. The verification comes with the many millions and millions of photos and visitors that's been to the Grand Canyon, from black and white images to that of our most recent pictures. Well, there's erosion there now, but the further you go back, of the times when the camera was being made and those black and white images to current, this doesn't change, because this is actual and factual. So this location, all of the photos that are private, that were governmentally taken, I can pull this up and show you. It's a verification. I don't need for scientists to go there and archaeologists and geologists to go there and show you this now. I can pull up archive images and bring you the same exact thing, and it'll produce not just angels, but reptilians and aliens. Let's go back to our world maps. Because such locations like Grand Canyon, such locations like Australia, other different locations of our world, there were genetic changes and manipulations that occurred, which caused for the genetic change and being of that of mankind. Through oceanic creatures of our world, which included the whale, and ancient prehistoric creatures such as the triceratops and all of those creatures. Those genes are represented by the animals that are shown. And it's showing you which creatures, which represent them ancient prehistoric creatures, through the oceans of our world and through the land masses of our world, how mankind was genetically manipulated and is continued to be genetically manipulated from those of our original state, which is that of our ape and African ancestor, and that before, which you know nothing about, but I do. These land masses, these funny looking objects that you see alongside of these ships, where these ships are stopped, you see this? Represents genetic contamination and genetic manipulation. And it's showing you through the larger bodies and the heads of which genes, what was contaminated, and what gene was used to contaminate the entire landmass, the entire body. That's what this is showing you. It's the same exact thing that Salvador Dali is showing you. And he goes as far to show you in his painting who is these people that is genetically contaminated. That's why he has these divine images. I can do this with paintings of Christopher Columbus, who actually was commissioned by ancient royalty, ancient Christianity, ancient Christian groups to make these voyagers. The paintings of Christopher Columbus show me the exact same thing. How they went to locations and they cross-contaminated themselves with genes that they received to do so with, and then went and genetically contaminated other locations purposely. So it's my position that areas in America where there was smallpox given to the inhabitants of those locations, then it was purposely done through a genetic cross-contamination process, which they were sent to do. Just as Salvador Dali is showing you. If Salvador is showing you this, the discovery of America, and they're pulling these genes, these genetics, this cocktail of genetics onto the land, which he's showing you, he's insinuating from this boy pulling this shit. Look, these genes, what do you think are happening to the indigenous people of these lands? They're telling you boastfully that they're coming onto the land to genetically contaminate. Salvador Dali just doesn't do this. Every artist that is an artist, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt, Bernini, all of these artists are telling me the same exact thing, which make these stories and these insinuating tales and myths about how AIDS and all of this other stuff was created, a man-made virus that was used to contaminate Africa and all of this, that, and the third, that this stuff is true. Here's the proof of it right here. These artists are showing you, not just showing you that how it was done, they're showing you the specific genes that were actually created in a cauldron, cult-like way, and how they were delivered onto land. And showing you who is responsible through a cross-contamination process. Under the guise of religion and under the guise of royalty, our world is being cross-contaminated and destroyed. Let me see what else I have here. These are about these ancient maps. All of these ancient maps are describing the same exact thing. This is the Gerone Wright's 15th century gazelle skin map. This map, which I actually done, I don't know which this map is, which I linked to the Voynich manuscript. All of these maps are telling us the same exact thing. Nothing meant more to our ancestors and to these mating voyages that were going on to go out on these different worlds. I even see almost like a caveman type guy right here. Let me see if I can bring that up to you. The faces that I see here, I see faces in there that come from, where we at? That come from here, which represents genes. This is a smaller version of what is actually here, showing you what was created here, sent back out in a cyclination process. That's what this is all about. That's why you're so impressed by all of this stuff, people, these ancient maps. There's other maps that have angelic-like figures with their mouth. You'll see a woman, angel-like creature on this corner and one on this corner, and their mouths attached to the world, pulling on it in their mouths. Google some of those ancient maps and look at them for what they truly are. They're genetic grails to how we were genetically altered. This is all that mankind's existence. This is the most important valued asset of mankind's existence. Who their genetically identity is. Look at the royalty, kings and queens. Look at ancient religion. How they are protecting themselves genetically to where you can't have sex. You got to remain celibate to be there. The virgins, the same exact thing. With nuns. And then look at our ancient royalty. protecting their bloodline. They only marry into bloodlines that are created, that they know are safe in a sense to reproduce themselves. It's my position that ancient royalty and ancient religion are in a conspiring union to genetically manipulate and change and alter our world. It's my position that it's always been known, and I can continue to expose it through wonderful and amazing videos like this and make sense of what is being stated. You give me a pool, you give me an ocean. If you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you're looking at what, 9 to 10 women here in the ocean. What is that telling you? Surrounding the world. What is that telling you? Their body, only their heads is up. Their bodies is in the water. Then you have a whale. You see what it's saying, people? The female represents the reproductive system of that of mankind. The female emerged from the oceanic properties of our oceans, our world oceans, through the body of the whale. There's a cyclination process that it can continue to keep going. And there are people that actually knew about this, while the masses have to remain in the dark. You know what's scary about this is that I see in shows right now that we be fascinated, like they're going out and they're lifting up great white shark hunters. There's this boat that goes out and they lifting up the body of sharks on these water waders that they have attached to the boat. They're taking semen out of the shark. They're taking blood out of the shark, of the great white shark. They're over there on the Guatemala coast taking these genetics out. Where in the hell is this stuff going? You know what? When I seen this guy, that scientist, pulling the semen out of that shark's clasper, because that's what that's called, a clasper. When I seen him pulling the genes out of that, and when I saw the blood being drawn from out of the tail of the shark and all, I said, my God. I said, this is going to be used again for another genetic bridging process. Not only can they give those genes to people that know what to do with them, like the Vatican and like the royalty of our world, to genetically cross-contaminate again, they can also inject those creatures with genes that are procured from those of kings and queens and from that of the Vatican. And it's my position that there can be a cross-contamination, not just with us, but with those creatures of our world that are actually here and around forever. So now, when you start imagining how the hell can a whale 3 or 4 million of years down the line be able to walk onto land, think about what I'm stating right now. Think about it. If you can't imagine it, imagine this with me. There are some whales that can actually come onto land a great distance to catch their food, which is that of seals. You ever see that where the whale comes swimming up? He'll come swimming up at a burst of speed. He can shoot his body up onto the beach surfaces and grab seals off the land. I'm talking about go on to the beach. If you were sitting there the way they were doing it, if you were sitting there in that location, let's say you're dining out there with your family in the sand, the whale can come up onto in with the wave. He creates the wave with the flow of his body, goes up in with the gush of water. He creates the wave, come in on land, can snatch you and your family off of land, and then as the wave is going back out, his body glides back out with it, comes up onto land, snatch you, your husband, your kids, with a wave, a creature created wave that this creature's body created by coming onto the land, onto the beach, and then when the water goes in, he rides that wave in, and then as it's going back out, he rides his own wave created back out with you and your family in its mouth.
How long do you think that it would take of that creature doing that before eventually this creature is able to come onto land and eventually evolve onto land and he's walking? Is this happening naturally through a selective process? No. I can tell you something else about how this creature is able to get onto land. I can tell you and explain to you later how this creature, how I know that this creature will be able to develop a natural, not a natural, a naturally created way of being able to walk onto land. And it can be timed, and it can be shown on how this creature will automatically, the whale, come onto land as it has done through that of other creatures in our world. Through my genuine paranormal experience and encounter, I can show you how it's all being done. This video is supposed to be about maps, and I'm all over the place with this. It's my position that these maps create genetic rails. Let me go back to this map here, because this is the map that actually inspired all my video here. I'm going to get up out of here. This, wow. You know, I'm going to show you something on what I can see. I'm going to show you something about this Pierre Rice map right quick while I'm here. Let me show you what I can do. You see this map here, and I'm telling you I see faces here? Let me show you something about this Pierre Rice map right quick while I have it turned sideways. Alright? This is what I can do. Let me turn this map this way. Here. And let me show you what these maps represent. It's not just random faces. It's heads of creatures that we genetically evolved through. And their faces represents the genetics and the identity of who we are. Remember I said that this was a whale, and then when you turn it around it's a sea lion. I'm going to draw you a face right here. I'm going to show you something. See if you can recognize this face right here. I'm going to start right there. There's the mouth. There's an eye. There's a cheekbone. You see what I'm talking about, people? These creatures, which have a genetic identity, there's an arm, there's the left eye, here's the nose area up in here. I'm going to try not to add too many lines because it actually take away. And they're not just one face, they're multi-dimensional faces. I'm going to see if you can see a face there. You see that right there, people? You see that eerie looking face right there that I just drew for you? This is the Pierre Rice map. You see that? These faces represents genetics. And it's just not one face, but they're multi-dimensional faces that create an overall face, and it shows you how through our oceanic properties of our land. You see that? Attached to the tail of that of a whale, and then there's a seahorse there. If you look at it, this is also a seahorse standing up, facing that way. This is the body of a whale. And then it shows all these other creatures that shows for genetic bridging, and it shows you how this being came. You see that? Look at the face, people. Eye, nose, mouth. You see that? On the tail of that. You know what that's like? Here, I can show you exactly what that's like. But this Merlin creature is on the tail of the, what's it called here? It's similar. But there's the body of the whale, and I'm going to show you the other creature that's up in there. But it's similar to what is being shown here, with the Merlin creature on the tail. How many minutes? I'm going to close this video up. On the body of this fire-breathing dragon. Let me see if I can draw this creature out right quick for you. Here, I'm going to draw this out before I lose my time. Hold on. right quick. Let me show you. Right there. There's mouth. There's the eye. Nostril, face. And there's an alien looking creature right there I just drew out. Right there. Right there. The face outline right there. It's the same creature that can be identified right here and right there in Salvador Dali's painting. And that's on the Lost Book of Nostradamus. And I can identify another image with Salvador Dali's paintings with that from the Lost Book of the Nostradamus. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. And I hope you appreciate this video. I'm all over the place with this, but this is basically based on the maps and creatures that genetically identify who we are. Thank you.